They just want to talk with me. Then I can go home. I promise you, Cam. I will come home to you. I promise you. My Cam, I dream. Sometimes at night, I dream that we are still fighting the war, and that my friends are still alive. I dream that the Americans hadn't left, and at my side was my friend, my brother, Ripley.
What do you think about the great American general? Wow.
What is the one thing you said that you would never do while you were in Vietnam?
This is rad, isn't it?
I just don't understand how our many victories on the battlefield could end like this.
Vietnam was a country of such great promise. For many years, the Western world would call it the Pearl of the Orient, for its beauty and for its people. The Vietnamese were not the only ones who knew of the treasures of their land. For 1,000 years, they fought the Chinese. Then the Mongols came, then the French, and then the Japanese. When the Second World War ended, the people believed that their journey for freedom was finally over. But no, their greatest suffering was yet to come.
Ladies and gentlemen, tonight I have the distinct pleasure of introducing a true American hero. Major John Ripley served 2 tours in Vietnam and earned the Navy Cross. To you I present Major John Ripley.
Well, thank you for that kind introduction. Appreciate it. I'd like to start off by thanking you all for inviting me here today to speak. America is out of Vietnam. We lost a lot of men over there. Is it worth supporting the Vietnamese in their fight against communism? Let me tell you, it is. I want to tell you about my personal Vietnamese friend that I fought with, Major Le Ba Bin. This is the bravest man I ever fought with. He's been fighting the communists for 12 years straight, and he's still fighting. Are they worth it? Let me tell you, they are worth it.
Wake up! Hey! Wake up!
Get up. It's time to get up, friend.
Let's go. Come on, let's go. Let's go.
You got lucky, Evan.
New prisoners arrived today, but they are not soldiers. They are school teachers, old government workers, musicians, priests, monks. The communists tell us that we are being re-educated. But we all know it is a prison. They told us all would be forgotten, but it is not. The communists promised there will be freedom for us one day, but we are all losing hope that day will ever come. The communists try very hard to act civilized, but they are far from it. I do not see intelligence in the communists, but I do see shrewdness in them. They are not good at many things, except in dividing us against each other. They know there's little trust between starving men.
Hey! One scoop only.
Yeah. Old man,
Hey, scoop only!
that is exactly what they want us to do. Fighting among each other. You calm down. Brother.
The NVA will be coming down right through here. They're going to be looking to take the bridge at Dong Ha. Let's put 1st Rifle Company on the east side of the bridge. Let's put 2nd Company on the west side of the river. What are your thoughts on where to put 3rd Company?
Here we go again.
What?
I'm sorry, Ripley. I just say here we go again. We always have to wait for the communists to attack. Then we can fight. Let us invade the north and free our people. Let us chase the communist leaders. Then we'll go back home to China, to Russia. The war will be ended in a couple weeks. It's simple. Just let us fight.
Major, I agree. Every single American I ever fought with would agree. You know, let us invade the North. I mean, let's kill every single last one of the communists. Let's get this war over with. Instead, they dump us in a jungle where we can try and make us fight an enemy we can't even see. I don't even know what kind of war we're fighting.
It's the unwinnable war, Ripley. Even when we win, we lose.
Fighting a defensive war for the South Vietnamese was incredibly demoralizing because many of them wanted to take the war to the north to free what they saw as their enslaved cousins who still remained in the north. For the Americans, fighting a defensive war kept them from pursuing the enemy into their sanctuaries in Laos, in North Vietnam, and in Cambodia. In World War II, our fighting men had clear-cut goals. It was on to Berlin, get Hitler. On to Tokyo, get Tojo. In Vietnam, we had no clear-cut goals. It wasn't on to Hanoi to get Ho Chi Minh. When a man arrived in Vietnam, his main concern was survival. There was no definition of victory, no clear-cut goals for ending the war in a favorable way.
Another lucky one, Hubby.
My father had such wonderful dreams for the future of Vietnam. But I know his dreams were not this. They say we are here for the crimes that we have committed, but none of us know what these crimes are. They say that we are all equal, but that is the big communist lie. Our fellow prisoners are taken away, but we do not know where they go. They tell us that they are freed, but we do not believe them.
Wish I could say it was a good morning, but it isn't. Caught two of your criminal brothers trying to escape last night. They were so ashamed by the cowardly act that they killed themselves. Well, I don't understand you. We have given you an opportunity to redeem yourselves for your criminal action against the People Revolution. Bring teachers here to teach you the proper communist way to live. But it's your dishonorable behavior that insults us. We will discover which of you criminal knew about the plan of escape. Does anyone want to tell me about the escape last night? Come on now. Be my friend. Think about it. Be my friend, you can eat like the guards. Maybe go home early. That would be nice, wouldn't it? Imagine sitting at home with your families. Your wife cooking your favorite dinner. Can't you just smell that food?
can smell it. It's good.
Close your eyes and imagine. Your daughter is next to you. What would you say to her? Pretend I'm your daughter. What would you say? Nothing? Heard a lot of families are suffering in the South. The fathers are gone. They have no food, no place to stay. Did you know that many of our communist brothers have shown mercy on these families and married their mothers? Doesn't anybody want to go home early?
I think he means home of our ancestors.
Crazy one.
I don't like you.
Criminal. You look strong today. You look well fed. Tell me why that is. Wait a minute. I know. You're stealing rice. Confess, criminal. Confess! Are you listening to me? Listen to me, criminal! Look at me. I'm not gonna tell you again, criminal.
I know things have been difficult since Mother died. But she's still here, inside your heart. Live as though she's always with you. Live as she would want you to live, with loyalty and honor to your family and to your country. The Japanese are gone now. And the French, too, will be gone soon. You are lucky you're young, because one day you will live in a free Vietnam, where we are our own masters.
You hear me, criminal? Get up, criminal! Get up! We give you everything. Everything! We forgive you for your criminal activities. give you the privilege to work, so you can repay the party for your criminal acts. Yet you still do not cooperate. Incredible! Still show no gratitude! Think about this, hero. All those that we had to re-educate. The teachers, the doctors, the priests, the monks. You are the lowest. Go to work.
Ripley.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
Doing okay, Major. I'm doing okay.
There are probably about 20,000 communists over the river. They will attack us soon. There are 700 of us, Ripley. They have artilleries, we have none.
I know. But if we can hold a bridge, we can defend Dongha.
For how long? There are no more American troops, no more reinforcements. Nobody's coming.
I understand.
We have to stop them here, Ripley. If we can't stop them, our dying means nothing. Once they pass us, they go right into Saigon.
You know I know this. Is there something you want to tell me? And just tell me.
We need air support. We need it now. You know we will hold a position until the very last man. But we are tremendously outgunned, outmanned. When are the U.S. bombers coming?
They're not coming. We need to hold the bridge ourselves.
I understand. I will tell my man. Captain Ripley, we will hold the bridge.
This is Major Bing, 3rd Battalion. It has rumor that Dongha has fallen. There are Marines in Dongha. My order is to hold Dongha. We will fight in Dongha, and we will die in Dongha. As long as there's a Marine raw bread in Dongha. Dongha will belong to us.
It's late March, March 30th, 1972. Up until this point, there had been a major lull in the combat up in northern South Vietnam. Things had been relatively quiet. In many areas, life had almost returned to normal for the South Vietnamese citizens there. And all of a sudden, things start to happen in a rather dramatic fashion. And up near the demilitarized zone, and of course out east, out of Laos, comes this major communist invasion that materializes into tens of thousands, maybe upwards of 100,000 North Vietnamese troops, hundreds of tanks, regiments of artillery, and the very finest and most up-to-date Soviet anti-aircraft artillery, all coming down. Lieutenant Colonel Jerry Turley was the senior American advisor in the area at the time.
They're coming at us with masses of regiments, divisions. 4 divisions are coming at us, and we're 1 division here. They come in at 12 o'clock, the artillery begins, and for the next 4 days, in the bunker that I was to be in, there was never a time when 1 or 2 minutes there weren't interruptions of artillery coming in on us. What's important to know is that, appreciate is that there was North Vietnamese forces on the north also had their Russian advisors with them. We were aware of them, and they were certainly aware that we Americans were with the South Vietnamese on the backside. One of the integral parts of the North Vietnamese attack, that they begin to shell the cities, the villages, Dang Ha, and the other little villages there, who were absolutely no military value whatsoever. The bridge was important, the city wasn't. But in attacking the cities, they drove the people out onto the highways. Thousands of people were pushed onto the roads. And the North Vietnamese guns had those roads zeroed in, and they would simply lob 5 or 6 rounds into the road. They would just blow them apart. Like water, it would just come back in, the people who survived. And the shelling of the people was probably the hardest thing to take, whether it was kids or cows or buffaloes or old people in wagons. There was no excuse for it.
Look, out here has some life in them.
TOC, this is Covan 3, over. TOC, I have tanks on the north side of the Dong Ha Bridge. I say again, I have tanks on the north side of the Dong Ha Bridge. Over. T-54s and PT-76s. Over. Roger. Understand. Below the bridge. Out. I always wanted to blow up a bridge. Guess I'm finally getting my wish. Major, I'm going to need some explosives.
You probably won't even make it across the field to get to the bridge. And if you do make it, every one of their snipers will be on you. Their tanks will be on you. Ripley, it's a suicidal mission.
Ripley called me on the phone, radio, and said, I hear tanks. I see tanks. The artillery's coming in. It's the third day of the battle. I'm getting tired. And I said, what kind? And he came back and said, T-54s, PT-76s. Those are Soviet-made tanks, and they're coming right down the road.
There was a bridge at Dong Ha that the communists need to capture intact. It was the only way they could get their hundreds of tanks and 20,000 troops across the Qua Viet River. At Dong Ha were 700 Marines of Bin's 3rd Battalion and John Ripley. It was 700 Marines against at least 20,000. A classic David and Goliath experience shaping up.
The headquarters, my senior headquarters in Da Nang, 80 miles away, said, do not blow the bridge. I said, that's sir, I have to. I got to blow the bridge. Otherwise, they're going to be on top of us. And just getting to the bridge for Ripley and Bin was only the beginning of an awesome task. For Ripley, for 3 hours, is under the bridge. There was 100 reasons why he could have called me on the radio and said, I can't do this. He didn't.
The process of Ripley in placing his explosives is he has to take a box, 12 boxes of explosives out, and place them in between these I-beams. And each time he goes out, he's holding onto these I-beams, these big steel I-beams, and he's praying his way out, saying, Jesus, Mary, get me there. Jesus, Mary, get me there. All the while, he is under sniper fire and occasionally tank fire. A tank would fire around into one of these I-beam stringers. And while it didn't hit him, it would certainly rock his world with sound and clear his ears. Each time out and back requires incredible physical strength that the average human being in his or her best time probably couldn't do. Ripley does it and continues to do it until he gets the last box of explosives where he wants them and finally blows the bridge. He is utterly spent.
And once it finally did go up, as I said, the whole battle changed. Bin troops are now probably down to, probably lost 200 men already out of his 800. And he's going to lose almost all the rest of them. So he lost 80% of his battalion, depending, if you will, holding the bridge for Ripley to blow it.
I'd like to start off by thanking you all for inviting me here today to speak. You know, I was just sitting at the table with my wife here and looking around at all the faces in the crowd. And I have to say it's a true honor to be among so many people that love America and make America a great place to live. But I also have to say that I am worried for America. Now that I've come back home, I see people in our own country rooting for the communists to win, to defeat and to kill our troops. I see people living in this country and enjoying all the wonderful things America has to offer. And then I see those same people turn around and say how much they hate America. I see a movie star living a lavish lifestyle here in America, travel to the enemy, sit at a Russian gun used to kill Americans, laughing, broadcasting to the world how evil America is.
Oh, Captain, I have a dream.
I have a dream, a big dream, a dream of democracy.
That's my dream.
And together we can help protect the free world from unfair competition and ensure that future generations will have a free world to protect.
Yes, sir.
Down to the base, take a look at my face and read out an order to bar me. So we said, Foxtrot, Tango, Alpha. Stop the Army and the Navy and the Marines!
Low coming in, here it is, it's napalm. Wow. Right on top of the 101st. Mortars, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rounds of mortar fire, and 2 make it 4. Huey helicopters down and burning, the rest are up and heading for home. Moving out now into orderly withdrawal, as lying motionless on the ground is Lieutenant Colonel Billy Slocum. That'll be a fragging penalty for the boys in the 101st.
When the anti-war people would come to Hanoi, it had great impact on us because they were saying freely what we were being tortured to say. The guards were trained in torture. They had a team we call the gun squad, and their job was to extract information from the prisoners. But where the dangers came is when you had amateurs trying to torture, and that's when I sustained a compound fracture on my left arm, had a compound fracture with the bones through the skin from the ropes, and that's the communist system. It was a very brutal, tough existence. And when Don Sutherland and Jane Fonda came with the FTA, the four-letter word, the Army, they piped it into our cells through the speakers that they control from the headquarters building. It really affected our morale tremendously.
I see a man that served 3 months in Vietnam come back home, a self-proclaimed expert on the war and the Vietnamese people. I see that same man testify before Congress that it is the American military policy to rape, torture, and murder Vietnamese civilians. I see this same man say that he never did it, never saw anybody do it, but people told him about it. But when asked to name those names, he can't name them.
John, can you tell me about any war crimes that occurred in that unit, Coastal Division 11? And a second question, why didn't you attempt to get out of the unit or submit a request when you were there if you saw anything that shocked a normal man?
Well, I'll come back to the question.
I'd like you to answer that question if you would. We served you obviously are quite good on the polished rhetoric, but I did serve in the same place you did, and not for 4 months, but for 18 months, and I never saw anything, and I'd like you to tell me about the war crimes you saw committed there, and also why you didn't do something about them. I think there's something particularly pathetic about me having to appear on nationwide television and trade polished little phrases with you to defend the honor of the 55,000 people that died there, the 2.5 million of us that served there. I think further that the justification that Hanoi uses for keeping our POWs is that they were engaged in criminal acts there. And I think that someone that comes out and says exactly the same thing can be doing nothing but serving those purposes. I find it particularly remarkable that this gentleman, who is building his political career, apparently, upon the misery of all of us that served there.
Well, I'm here today to testify that I spent 2 years in Vietnam, and I never saw any American commit those atrocities. What I saw were heroes, decent men and women, sacrificing for others, I saw men put into impossible situations, doing the best that they could without fanfare.
Lima Company, 215 of us, had run into the 324B Regiment of the North Vietnamese Army. There were some 1,500 of them, and there were 200 of us. We kept pushing, and kept backing them up. And Ripley was doing a fantastic job. He was right there on the front line with us. And at the end of the day, their bodies were all over the place. I don't know how many of them we had killed, but we totally decimated the 324B Regiment. Whatever mission they had been sent out to do, we had completely thwarted it. The company gunnery sergeant reported at the end of the day. Skipper asked him for a casualty report, and he said, Skipper, he says, there were 215 of us when we started the day. By my count, he said, there's only 15 people left that haven't been killed or wounded. And the corpsman finally comes over, and he's putting a bandage on and putting some medicine on this, cutting my leg, and he's writing his card up. I said, Doc, what are you doing? I said, what's that? And he says, we're writing you up for a Purple Heart. And I said, Doc, no. I said, look at these guys. These guys are Purple Hearts. Sometime after, I don't remember the exact date, but we got some mail flown out to us, helicoptered out to us, and we were going through the mail, and one of the guys in the company got a letter from his mother. And when he opened the letter up, there was a newspaper article, and the headline of this newspaper article was, Ripley's Raiders Rout NVA Force. And that was the first time anybody had ever heard Ripley's Raiders. And, you know, we passed that article around and everybody was reading it, and we said, we kind of like that. So the rest of our tour over there, Captain John Ripley became Ripley's Raiders, and we were his men, and that's the way it is today.
Now, I'm not going to stand here and say that no American ever did anything bad in Vietnam. During stressful times, people make mistakes. And anytime you have 2 million guys in one place, there's going to be bad guys that do bad things, but they do not represent all of us. If those lies do not go unchallenged, it will be their version of history that is taught to our children in the schools. Our troops will be the monsters, and the communists the heroes.
John Ripley is probably the best, finest leader I've ever known in a human being. He was an outstanding combat leader. We would have followed him anywhere. If he'd have said, saddle up, we're going to go attack Ho Chi Minh and Hanoi all by ourselves, we'd all gone. We'd have gone with him. I love the guy. Worst day of my life when he died. I felt like I lost my closest brother.
I would like to leave you with this one final message. Draw a line in the sand. No more lies. Do not be quiet. Do not walk away. Draw the line in the sand. The lies end here. Thank you.
My dear Calm, the days here seem to be getting longer and harder. Or maybe I'm just getting weaker and weaker. Is this the communist paradise they told us about? I'm just too tired now to be angry. I just don't understand. We all don't understand. It's been so long. Is the world watching us? Where's the Red Cross? Where's the American press? Are we forgotten?
A lot of Americans really don't understand how vicious the Viet Cong were. And I saw this dramatically in early 1969. I was a rifle company commander in the 5th Marines, stationed in An Hoa Combat Base south of Da Nang. And we had one of those periodic truces, tent truce. The U.S. government said that we were going to try to convince the communists to come to the table and bargain and what have you, and we're going to have a truce. And because of that, the Marines had to pull in all the patrols inside the wire, and we were told to stay out of the villages and whatnot. Well, the Viet Cong took advantage of that. What was called an armed propaganda team came out of the mountains, went into a village adjacent to the combat base. Normally we would have Marines in that base providing security, but we had to pull them out. Communists knew that because of the truce. They moved in there at night. They went to the home of the chief of the village, and they pulled him out, his wife out, and his 5 children. They then proceeded to cut the throats of the children in presence of their parents, one at a time. And they did this too with the villagers in attendance, a large number of the villagers. It was sort of a group trial of the village chief. After killing the children, they shot the wife in the head in front of her husband, and then they proceeded to shoot the village chief several times in sensitive parts of his body before cutting his throat and cutting off his head and placing it on a stake. They attached to the stake a statement that this man was a government official, he was evil and corrupt, and he deserved to die. Well, that was not the case. He was a very popular village chief because he was very good, and that's why they killed him. But as Lenin says, the purpose of terrorism is terror, and it had a very, very sobering impact on those people living in that village. Those villagers were not communists, they were not VC, but they were very frightened that an armed propaganda team would come back in there and again kill people like the village chief.
I have met a new friend here that I have become very close to. He is a school teacher named Dong. He's a good man. You would like him very much. Hoa is still by my side, but I fear for him. He still talks before he thinks, and has created many enemies here.
It's almost time, guys. Get closer to the jungle. Almost there. Come on. Almost. Okay. Let's go. Okay.
The jungles are the walls of our prison. But we think of escape every day.
It's siesta time for the guards. It's meal time for us.
Yep, that's
oh,
right.
look good, huh?
Yeah, brother.
Wow.
Yeah.
If we find a dead calf once a week, we can stay alive until we get out here, huh?
Yeah. That's right.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah. With all this good living, we gotta be careful not to get too fat. The guards will notice us.
That's it, Juan. That's it. You're a genius. We look just like them. Chubby, chubby, chubby. And we'll walk out of camp waving goodbye.
Yummy, yummy.
Can't beat this, right?
Mm.
Good,
You
isn't
need
it?
those protein. I've been thinking of my little boy. I miss my son. I miss my wife. I want to go home. And we'll get back on our horses, come back to this town, and burn this goddamn place down.
Well, at least you got something to dream about. I haven't given my mother nothing to dream about.
Hey, guys, we're all gonna get out here. And you will have your time with your wife and your kids. Don't think too much. Keep your head straight.
Yes, Major.
And Hoa, you're gonna have time to marry some wonderful woman and give your mom a grandson. Okay?
Hey, brothers, I'll be back.
Yes, Major Ben.
I would rather die escaping through the jungle than to live at the feet of the communists any longer. But I know if I should ever go, they will then come for you. Cam, I have been long praying for a miracle.
Time to go, guys.
Oh.
Brother.
Hey, what took you so long? We gotta get back.
Siesta over. I'm just glad we went that far. If it took that long. Let's go on. Come on, Hoa.
It's very unusual to be... It's hard to see how you can be opposed to the war and then participate in it.
Well, as I say, my opposition to the war was not at that time a strongly moral opposition. It wasn't an opposition on grounds of what was happening in Vietnam. It was an opposition that was based on our broad spectrum of foreign policy.
What did the South Vietnamese generally think of you when you were there as a soldier? Any of them sympathetic?
I think the majority hate us. I think the Vietnamese people hate us. And you can sense this. You can hear it. One of them, I turned to him and I said, what would be the best thing that we could do for you? And he said, go home. And I think this is an attitude that does. I turned to one and I said, you know, well, fine, you've got to go in there and fight.
I'm so looking forward to seeing him tonight.
Yeah, me too. It's going to be great to see him. Let me just finish watching this TV show here.
I don't know why you watch that stuff. You know, it just upsets you.
And this is their reaction. They want to grow rice. They want to live.
I can't believe what I'm watching. What am I missing here? All the channels, the news, they're saying we lost the war. When we left Vietnam, we left in victory. What the hell's going on?
I think they'd be far better off. Mr. Kerry, how do you feel about what Mr. Klein was saying about the fact that if we pulled out, there would be the bloodbath? That seems to be a very persuasive argument with a lot of people. And
I really don't believe that there would be a bloodbath, and I'll tell you why. I think that what happened at Hue, and this is the instance that's always cited, the 5,000 to 3,000 people, if in fact it did happen then, because nobody heard about it then, they heard about it later. But what happened there was part of the pure Maoist doctrine of revolution, that you must coerce through terrorism. And if in fact the United States has said and declared that we will unilaterally withdraw within a certain specified amount of time, and we will accept Hanoi's agreement to have international supervision of that withdrawal, we will offer amnesty to those people who demand it, then there's absolutely no reason to believe in the world that there's anything to be gained by the North Vietnamese or any other faction through reprisals. And I think that really this is just another form of red baiting to keep the American people feeling we've got to protect something in South Vietnam.
Thank you, Mr. Kerry, for being here, and I would thank Mr. Klein for being here, and we will see you tomorrow night. Good night.
How about this? You turn all that passion into making your wife happy.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. Okay, let's go.
You've been stressing more and more the prisoners of war left in Vietnam.
What's happening is that a lot of terribly concerned and well-intentioned people in America are putting a great deal of energy and time and money into a letter-writing campaign to Hanoi. And without knowing it, and they're doing a disservice to the prisoners of war. For one thing, the post offices in Hanoi are being flooded with all this mail, with all these letters, all these petitions. Well, one of the things that that we're being told is that the Vietnamese are not releasing all the names of the prisoners of war. The other very tragic myth is that the prisoners are being tortured, that they're being given barbaric, inhumane treatment. Now, overwhelming evidence is that this isn't true. There are films that have been seen. People have, members of the people who have been in the North have seen the prisons, have talked to prisoners, have brought the 9 prisoners that have been released out. 2 years later, several of these men are being allowed to travel around the country, allowed by the Pentagon to travel around the country, telling horror stories about torture tactics, and it's crucial for the American people to know that they're not true. The treatment that is being given the American prisoners of war is more humane than the treatment of any prisoners of war in the last century in Asia. What we must all do, you know, we who care, is stop writing letters to Hanoi and carrying on this kind of campaign.
The moment I walked into my first cell, what I saw in a 7 by 9 foot cell was a concrete slab. On one end were leg irons, with another leg iron to go over the ankles, which would be padlocked in the evening. At the head were manacles. A month later, they called me back up to make a tape, and I said, I will not make tape. I refused to make a tape, which I'd refused up to that point. And they said, but we can force you. I said, yes, but you will have to force me. I will not do it on my own accord. 2 weeks into my torture, I reached a point that I had nothing else left to give. I had lost about 50 pounds of weight, half rations, no use of my hands. They'd been from rope torture. My feet, for 7 days, 7 nights without sleep, kneading on pitted concrete, arms over my head, beaten daily with a fan belt about 50 times, on one occasion more than 200 times, to raw buttocks with a rubber strap, and that's how I developed the 39 open wounds on my body. And there came a time, the only thing I left was the will that says, hang on. And I said, God, it's all yours to do whatever you want. I have nothing more else to give. And the lesson I learned is this: courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is simply the presence of faith.
Every night I say a little prayer for the ones that serve over there, for the ones that really don't care what your politics are. They believe in the stripes, they believe in the stars. Dan and Mike are from New York, they volunteered for Vietnam. They went overseas with the best friends.
Good to see you.
Great. The boy haven't stopped. Danny is a fireman and Michael is a cop. No matter where they go, no matter where they are.
It's been like just yesterday.
Forgetting how old you are. You look like you could jump right back into action.
John, are you still waiting for that homecoming parade?
No. I don't want any parade. What I want is for us not to abandon our ally. You hear what Congress is doing? Cutting South Vietnam's military aid. I mean, what good is the equipment without the fuel and the ammo? And they're also cutting the humanitarian aid. Why would they do that? Why would they cut the aid to the kids?
No, you don't. That question is easy to answer. Congress wants South Vietnam to lose. It's all bullshit. It's like the anti-war protesters. If they were really anti-war, why don't they ask China and Russia to get out of Vietnam too? Why don't they ask the communists in North Vietnam to stop invading South Vietnam? This is not the America we had in World War II, John.
We had a reporter from the Washington Post with us, a highly respected reporter named Peter Braystrap. And I recall once he and I were talking, and I asked him about some of these stories that appeared in the paper. I said, there's so many falsehoods, whether they're on purpose or just ignorance, I don't know. And he said, kind of shook his head and said, you know, I'll send a story back to Washington, and when I see it in print with my name on it, he said, sometimes I can hardly recognize the story.
Good evening. Tonight, the Advocates again looks at the subject of war in Indochina. And each side is armed by its superpower allies. South Vietnam by the United States, North Vietnam by Russia and China. Specifically, our question is this: should we end all military aid to South Vietnam?
The Communists failed to conquer South Vietnam by force of arms, but they can still snatch victory from the jaws of defeat if they can persuade the United States to abandon all military aid to the South Vietnamese people. Mr. Goodman, we've talked about ending the bloodshed. Would cutting military aid really end the bloodshed, in your opinion?
Yes, I think it would. It would substantially reduce it.
Does the story of the massacre in Hue by the North Vietnamese forces when they took that city and killed thousands upon thousands of innocent civilians suggest the contrary to you?
Not at all. The massacres at Hue were the sign of a communist failure, not a success.
Let's take an example of a communist success. They certainly were successful in taking over the North much earlier, in 1949 and thereafter, and yet it is estimated that 500,000 people died in their purges after that takeover.
I think the estimates range anywhere from 50,000 to 500,000.
That's not a bloodbath?
The basic point is A, Ho Chi Minh acknowledged that as a mistake, B, it hasn't happened since, and C, North Vietnam is not South Vietnam. If the communists walked into Saigon tomorrow, they would walk out.
How much bloodshed would there have been last year if the North Vietnamese armed forces had withdrawn from South Vietnam?
I couldn't estimate that.
Well, there wouldn't have been any, would there? What would the fighting have been?
I'm saying there's a positive step we can take to restore the peace and to end the war, and we ought to take it.
You stated in May of 1973, if I may quote exactly what you said, American military and economic support to the Tew government is absolutely crucial. That was wrong?
Yes, and I admit
Why was it wrong?
Because the fundamental problem the Tew faces today is political and economic.
Was it then?
No, I wasn't sure what it was then.
You weren't sure? Are you sure now?
Yes, I am.
So now that you've changed your mind, you're right.
No more than any of us are right.
Exactly. We're all right and wrong, so it doesn't matter. But in any case, you were wrong.
That's right.
In any case, you're perfectly prepared to assure the people of South Vietnam that they have no bloodshed or purge to fear if the communists take them over. Is that right?
I am.
I'm sure they're very happy to have your assurance, but will you forgive them if they keep on fighting anyway? Thank you.
When the Paris Agreement was signed, the North Vietnamese troops were staying in South Vietnam, waiting for the day they would organize some other offensive. And so we have to make a choice. And the choice was to accept the Paris Agreement with the promise from the American administration that the American side would continue to aid South Vietnam. And number two, the U.S. would retaliate against North Vietnam if North Vietnam violated the Paris Agreement. But somehow later, these two promises were not kept at all. And that is why the situation deteriorated in 1974 up to the point in 1975 when we had almost nothing in terms of ammunition, in terms of arms. It looks as if we had our hands tied behind our back, waiting for the communists held by the Soviet Union and the Chinese to come and take Saigon.
Alrighty. I knew getting together with you guys would be just what John and you did.
Sir, I saw your speech today. I just wanted to shake your hand. You're a true American hero.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
This is my brother.
Hey, how you doing?
Major Ripley, Fox 27, 6869, sir.
Semper Fi.
I'm headed off to Paris Island.
Oh, great. Excellent. Excellent. Semper Fi, Marines.
Semper Fi, sir.
Carry on.
My hero! Now, they talk all the time about fighting the communists and helping the Vietnamese. You know what they're really doing over there? Killing for the American businessman. Do it for the most corrupt country in the world. Do it for America. Do it. Do it for the land of the free. Yeah. They're over there doing some partying, doing a little dope, sampling some of the local talent. Yeah. And then you come home to your pretty little wife, like nothing ever happened. Over there trying to help the Vietnamese. Yeah, well, you know what I think? I think they're just over there trying to help themselves. Imagine that, huh? Getting medals for killing babies. Hey! There's no fighting in my bar!
John, sit down. Sit down.
It's on the house.
That's an order.
It's cool off.
Why don't you go back and play in pool? You're breaking my heart, man. How long have I been coming in here? How much money have I spent in here, huh? Just cool down. Go back and play some pool, or I'm calling the cops right now.
Semper Fi, GI.
Carry on.
I'm trying to press here.
Yes, but the people who are fighting over there know why they're fighting. That's why they're fighting so well.
And if there were a splinter group in this North Vietnam, which you are so fond of, certain viewers are saying themselves now, and they tried to put on a show against the war, from their point of view, what would happen to them in this wonderful people's democracy?
Well, it would be inconceivable that they would put on a show against the war. No, the defeat that we have suffered is enormous. It's a Dien Bien Phu that's taken place. Why are they fighting that way? It's because they know it's a people's war. It's truly a war of the people, by the people, and for the people. You know?
I wish we had more time to deal with the fact that only 8 people are applauding and all, because this is so complex, and we're jammed up. We must take a breath. We'll be right back.
To destroy stress, chaff, and other harmful germs, to really clear the air, use Brento Fine Disinfecting Spray. Use Brento Fine Disinfecting Spray to quickly remove...
I love you, sweetheart. I'm sorry. My dear Kham, I dream of you every day. But I'm afraid that I'm no longer the man you remember. I have been gone for a very long time. Some of us here say it's been 5 years, but no one really knows for sure. Time doesn't seem to exist anymore for us.
Down. Okay.
Get up.
Oh, no.
You listen to me. Look at me. Look at me. No. No. Why? No. We want to go home. Why? We want to go home. You got to see your mother, man. You miss her, right? Come down. Why? I want to see my daughter. I don't want to go home in a box. You hear me? You gotta go home, man. You gotta go home.
My bin. They all say you have died, but I don't believe them. I know you, and you are too stubborn to ever die. When you come home, I will be here waiting for you.
Cam, I wonder if you believe if I'm still alive. Every day is the same. During the day, they work us like animals. We work so hard in the fields growing food, but we never see any of it. The communists always try to break us. Many have lost hope, but they will never break me. The communist words have no meaning. They are all lies. They preach many things, but act on nothing. They speak of a world that they know nothing about. At the end of the day, when we are weak, they try to brainwash us with their communist propaganda.
Long live Ho Chi Minh! Long live Ho Chi Minh! All together! Long live Ho Chi Minh!
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 This is not a prison. This is a re-education camp. We are the second largest military power in the world. Be proud of the new Vietnam. For many years, you've been deceived by your teachers, your monks, your priests, and your puppet leaders. This is a mistake. Uncle Ho has brought light to us all. There's no Buddha, there's no Jesus, but there's only Uncle Ho. Long live Ho Chi Minh!
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 Dom, what are you doing? Don't hold this and hide it. Give it to my wife. She must know what happened to me. Do it for me, Dom. Okay.
It's time for you to come with me, hero.
Hey, no! He has done nothing!
Stop! That's okay. You can come too.
No.
Long live Ho Chi Minh!
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 Louder! Long live Ho Chi Minh!
Long live Ho Chi Minh!
They re-elected him to his position. We could hardly have installed a puppet regime at a time when we had less than 700 unarmed military advisors, many of them non-commissioned officers, helping to teach the South Vietnamese how to organize an army for protection against guerrillas in their own country.
Are you saying that you approve of the activities of the Diem regime?
What activities?
You approve that they put 6 million in forced prison camps and that the American advisors did nothing but help them in this?
I challenge your history again. There is absolutely no record that 6 million people were put in concentration camps. They only have 16 million to begin with. But also, I would like to call to your attention that a team from the United Nations was sent to Saigon, to Vietnam, to investigate the charges made against the Diem regime. And the United Nations report completely cleared the Diem regime of any of the charges that had been brought against it.
The 17th parallel dividing North from South Vietnam is mere provisional military demarcation line and should not in any way be interpreted as constituting a political or territorial boundary.
But once the demarcation line was set, was it not Ho Chi Minh and the North Vietnamese that closed that border after 1 million refugees had fled from the communist regime that was imposed in North Vietnam, had fled to South Vietnam? Did they not make this a country themselves? And did they not create or start the aggression with regard to South Vietnam in violation of that treaty?
What about... Let's hear Senator Kennedy on this, Mr. Graziani.
Look, man, forget those guys. Shit, they don't even know where Vietnam is. Tell them off.
I know these guys. They will hurt you. I don't know what you're trying to prove here.
I don't know. I guess I'm just trying to draw a line in the sand. Stop the insanity.
Insanity is going out to fight those guys. Blow it off.
You know why I've stayed so pretty all these years? It's because I don't get involved in fights I don't need to be in. It's called self-preservation, my friend.
I believe the war in Vietnam is illegal, immoral, politically unjustifiable, and economically motivated.
I do believe that our goal is the right of a people to self-determination and to not have a way of life, a government, or a system forced upon them.
Mr. Regan, just 5 minutes ago on this program you said, every man has the right of dissent, and I believe that every man has the right to be wrong. No doubt you'd also support the American ideal of freedom.
Son,
now, following on this,
I wouldn't go out there
ask
if
you
I was
whether
you.
in fact you would support
I know you would.
the people who at the moment you say are dogging the draft.
But I'm not you.
Ain't right, you know, him going out there alone like that.
Well, it's his fight, not ours.
Still ain't right.
What are you going to do? Hit him with your banjo?
It's called a guitar, man.
If we go out there, instead of one guy getting his ass kicked, there are going to be 3 guys getting their asses kicked. Shouldn't have to fight other people's battles. Who cares what they say about the war?
It's gonna be okay now. We're gonna watch out for each other.
Enough.
What?
My turn to be the lucky one.
What? Talk to me. I imagine our daughter is now strong and beautiful like her mother. I dream of the day we are together again. If that day does not come, please do what you have to do so you and our daughter can survive. The only thing I want now is that I just wish that you will know what happened to me. I don't want to die like the others, forgotten and buried in a mass grave. Come. It's you. It's you. I think of you every day. It's been so long, Cam. Every day, I think of you, Cam. I never give up. Never will give up. I will never give up.
Okay, time's up.
Please. Please.
Our daughter?
She's okay.
She misses you every night.
I promise you, I will come home to you. I promise you that no matter what, I will survive to be home with you and our baby. No matter what. Come. I love you.
I love you.
Let's go.
No. I don't want to go. I don't want to go.
Everything will be okay.
I don't want to go.
You go. I know where you're at.
Wait for me. I'll be home. I promise you.
Time's up.
Wait for Daddy, huh?
I love you.
I often wondered who these Americans were, that they would come to the other side of the world to help us fight for our freedom, then go home to their country that did not understand. As soldiers, we fight so others may live. We are judged not by the praise we may receive, but by the results we have achieved. Because of you, 2 million of our people escaped the communist nightmare that was to come. If you ever wonder, was it worth it? The next time you see a Vietnamese family, remember, they would not be here if it not for you. We know your sacrifices, and we will forever be indebted to you. You are our brothers that we will never forget. I have seen much in my life and have finally come to peace with it. I will always be grateful to America for opening the doors of a great nation to bring our people in. The freedom of America has allowed us to prosper here. And although we will always have sorrow in our hearts for our homeland, we are proud to be Americans.
Ripley, you made it.
My brother, you know if you call, I'll be here for you.
Thanks, brother.
How's everything with you?
Never better.
Tuta, I know you. If there's something you want to tell me, just tell me.
Everything okay?
How's Cam?
Cam is Cam. Still beautiful, but foolish for marrying me.
Ripley, take a look up. Our fight for freedom will be remembered